Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Justin here, and I'm just walking my way to work, or walking my way to the station right now, so I can go to work. So, I know it's been a while since I've done my last video, and sorry I'm not looking at the camera. I gotta walk and look while where I'm walking. You know, that's how accidents happen, just like how Rambo said when he hijacked that military truck and told the driver to keep looking at the road. But yeah. So yes, for the past month, I have started a new job. Yay. So yes, so prior to last month, for the last 2 years, I was working at a private junior high and high school in downtown Tokyo, just right next to Yasukuni Shrine. And yes, unfortunately, how I ended up at that job was the job I had before that. Sorry, don't worry, it's not COVID. Okay, so, of course, as you know, we had COVID, and yeah, it's getting less and less, but still a concern, I would say. But, yes, so prior to my last job, for 5.5 years, I was teaching at an eikaiwa for senior citizens all around Tokyo and Kanagawa. And, of course, as the coronavirus first started, it was largely affecting senior citizens, and for a while they were the target victims. And and since I was working at an eikaiwa that catered to senior citizens, it unfortunately affected my job. I wasn't really technically fired, but we lost a lot of students, and then consequently I was going to have my hours cut back, and then my pay was going to be cut in half. And my boss at the time, who I'm still on good terms with, suggested, like, hey, if you need to find a new job, I'll understand. So I got a new job, and it was at a private school. And of course, I had prior experience teaching at private high schools. And the last one I taught at full time was in Tochigi, while for a while I was teaching on Saturdays at a private high school in Sagamihara, which I unfortunately had to lose due to COVID. But it was kind of a new experience for me. I kind of, after my last bit teaching regular schools, sorry, my arm is getting tired. And I'm walking up a hill, which is why I'm breathing rather heavily. Don't worry, I've been losing weight. I'll get back to that later. Sorry. So, where was I? Okay, so I applied for this job at this private school in Tokyo. And then when I got to the interview, they told me they had these programs and all that. I'm not going to get into this because it might, I don't want to say the school's name. I want to say the program's name. But it was supposed to be about internationalization and all that. And that really appealed to me. And when I was teaching my last private high school in Tochigi, I was in charge of the study abroad program, and I was teaching students who were going to study abroad in Australia for a year. So I thought that experience would come handy. And and of course, you know, I shared them my experiences, my accomplishments, and I got the job. And of course, this job, the pay was good. Now I have a family, a wife and a daughter, and the money was good enough to at least support them. And, you know, that's all that appealed to me. But, and this would be the first time that I would be working at a school with 5 other native teachers. Usually at whether it's ALT work or any other kind of school work, you'll usually be the only English native speaker at the school. I understand in some instances there are 3, but this is the first time I've taught at a place where I've had 5, and they were all good people, and I got along with a lot of them. You know, my first year, it was okay. It was kind of a struggle because it turned out, because I kind of had to learn the hard way my second year, that everything that I was working for was all bullshit. And I kind of don't want to get into the details because I don't want to go into work with negative feelings, but I kind of also had the need to really get this off my chest so I can finally put it behind me in a certain sense. But by my first year, it went okay. My second year was a fucking disaster. And it was progressively negatively impacting my mental and physical health. I think I gained like 30 or 40 pounds, and I'm still trying to lose all that weight I gained. And it was very stressful with frivolous complaints against me, and working with just unprofessional assholes who have no reason to be there. Okay, so the frivolous complaints, of course, if you're working at, let's say, at a private school, you got to have, like, let's say, entrance exams. And, all the native teachers have to do their part in making an entrance exam. You got to have listening, reading, speaking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and they just want to say, like, make it relatable to, preteen girls as much as possible. Okay, so one of the questions I make is about how, okay, let me try to remember because this is so fucking ridiculous. Okay, so it's just like a 3-line conversation. It's like, okay, or 4-line, I forgot which. I deleted the file because looking at it just gave me negative memories. Okay, so where do I start? Okay, so I kind of make this line of, okay, this one guy or girl, whatever, they go to, let's say, a rental shop. Yes, they're still staying in Japan where you can rent DVDs, manga, and CDs and Blu-rays. And someplace in the countryside, VHS tapes. And, for example, the conversation goes, the clerk says, how may I help you? And the customer says, I'd like to rent some CDs, like some K-pop stuff. And the guy says, like, for example, BTS. Would you like BTS CDs? Oh, that'd be nice. Okay, that's pretty much how the conversation went. And the question was, what does the customer want to rent? Blu-rays, CDs, or DVDs? And then the complaint I get is mentioning BTS. It's like, you can't do that. I'm like, what? And then, for example, the following year, someone makes a question about Halloween and how... before I get back to that, I also made another conversation, this time a 10-line conversation between, let's say, a Japanese person and, let's say, a foreigner. And the person wants to know about, let's say, Tokyo. I was like, okay, where are some nice places to go sightseeing in Tokyo? And I kind of list off these places. Shibuya, Ikebukuro, Harajuku, what else was there? Akihabara, Asakusa, or you can also see the Edo Museum and so on. And I kind of get a complaint about mentioning Akihabara because, like, Akihabara's not good. Like, that's kind of a bad influence. Like, what the fuck? And then, and the following year, so it talks about like a Halloween thing. And they talk about like, I'm going to go dress up as Sailor Moon this year. It's like, okay, so this natives teacher is okay to mention Sailor Moon. I honestly did not get that. And of course, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm just saying, like, I did get complaints a lot, but the majority of them were all frivolous. And it kind of came to a point where it's like, okay, so they told me I need to do this or something like that, but I'm already doing this because this other teacher's doing this. Like, they tell you can't teach this, but this teacher's teaching this too. It's like, well, that teacher's not the one getting complaints. And because of that, it's like, I just started saying, this is fucking bullshit. And I really came close to walking out. This was almost before the summer vacation. And, I had to talk to my wife. Like, if I weren't single, if I didn't have a kid, I would have quit on the spot. And, hey, I got a family to support. So, they're not firing me, at least for now, or not recontracting me. And then it kind of came to a point where I knew that I got to find a new job either way. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a new job during the summer. And then, well, I kind of yes and no did. It was more like side work translating visual novels and anime for Bilibili. But, yeah, they kind of like really neutered me with what I couldn't do. They were just like power harassing me. So I know that pawahara, or power harassment, has become a thing in Japan in recent years, and I fell victim to that my second year at this private school. And so did my friend, and then so did a few other teachers that are, Japanese as well. And some of us who fell victim to this all coincidentally quit. Of course, another native teacher, she was also a victim of power harassment, and though for different reasons than me, and she quit too. But yeah, they worked us to death, told us bullshit things we did wrong while other people were doing it. And yeah, and one of my friends, he pretty much pulled a Christian Bale on our boss. Unfortunately, it was not recorded, but it was pretty much a Christian Bale. When he flipped out on that camera guy or whatever during the filming of that Terminator movie. Yeah, I came close to that as well, but I just had to remember Patrick Swayze from, Get Roadhouse, be nice. And then I had to determine, be nice until it's time to not be nice. But unfortunately, it didn't get to that point where I had to decide to not be nice. But yeah, I could have been arrested, deported, and all that other shit. And yeah, and because and I'll admit, partially out of spite and want to make extra money, instead of just doing, the shit they wanted me to do, it kind of came to a point, it's like, okay, you want to give me shit? I'll give you a reason to give you shit. It was sort of my way of daring them to fire me. And usually Japanese people don't really fire people. They just kind of like power harass you or isolate you in a certain way to make you quit. The reason why they do that is because they fire you, they have to pay you severance pay. And that's kind of their way of avoiding it. They try to put you in a situation to make you quit. But, I was trying to force them to fire me. I was like, okay, I'm going to do translation work instead. Fuck you guys. And I got complaints about it. I was like, I kind of acted like, what was his name? Rocky Johnson and Young Rock said, hey, there's nothing that says that I can't provide for my family. And, and then we never really came to any solutions. And it's like, hey, if you want to fire me, fire me. I'm not going to hold it against you guys. If anything, I'd like to quit, but, if I get fired, I get that severance pay. I didn't really say that, but that was just a plan I was hoping for. Okay, so, between, let's say, summer last year and, March of, just last month, I was just looking for new jobs. My old job didn't really have any openings, so I was just going to try to find, whatever I could find. Yeah. And then suddenly I found this job through a study abroad company, that accommodates and helps college students from, let's say, the U.S. come to Japan. And, of course, there was this opportunity to teach anime. And I thought, I think I could do this. And I impressed the guy, and then I got this job that I got right now. And today, I'm going to help my boss give some tours around Shibuya. So, in most days, I'm either relaxing, working from home, just enjoying my life, spending time with my family, and trying to lose the weight that I gained. But even though it's been a month since I started, I'm in a much better place today, and I feel pretty good. And I hope this job lasts a long time.